Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hate Live Beta Podcast. This is episode 11 for Thursday, September 19th, 2013. I'm Darkside Phil, and welcome. We got a jam-packed show tonight with lots and lots of stuff going on in the gaming world. We've got gaming news. We've got GTA 5, which of course is the only thing anyone this week has been playing. Huge release, incredibly good. We're going to be covering the game in full. We're going to have a segment of Back in the Day, which is actually going to cover the heyday of Capcom, because Capcom is in the news again, and we actually should talk a little bit about back in the day when they used to be one of the industry leaders and how the mighty have fallen, okay? And we're going to have a live Q&A segment at the end of the show, like always. So what I would ask is for my stream moderators to please open up my stream chat here on Twitch TV, if you are watching on Twitch TV, to questions, the stream raffle, so that we can actually answer questions at the end of the show. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Please, mods, I'm sure they're going to open it right there. There we go, they just did. So be sure to do that. Some people on the stream tonight are saying my voice is out of sync. I don't know why. I'm watching the stream at source quality on Twitch TV, and my voice is in sync. Now, it could be something with my software. It could be Twitch tonight. What I'm doing is streaming with the exact same audio settings I always do, and I've always been in sync, and now people are saying I'm out of sync. It could be something with Twitch tonight. I don't know. But for me, I seemed in sync when I tested it on my laptop, so I'm going with it. All right? So anyway, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about tonight, okay? And what I do want to say, now people are saying there's definitely a delay now. It must be Twitch, because like I said, I was watching. In fact, watch this. You're going to hear an echo, everyone. I'm going to test it one more time. I fucked it up. Hold on. I'm going to test it one more time. Hold on. I fucked it up because I hit the pause button instead of the play button. Hold on. I'm going to unpause it. I'm going to test the sync of my audio with my laptop. The play button. Hold on. I'm going to unpause it. I'm going to test the sync of my audio with my laptop. It's fine. On my laptop, it's fine. So I apologize for you if the audio's out of sync for you. On my laptop, it's literally playing fine. I don't know. It might show up with the direct capture fucked up. I don't know if it's Twitch, but I apologize for that. We're going to run with it, okay? Alright, so we've got quite a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff. We're going to do it in segments like usual. The first segment, I'm going to recap what I've been doing this past week, including some of my PS3 woes, which a lot of you may not be aware of. Then I'm going to talk about what's coming up for the rest of this week, because a lot of people have questions. G, is Phil going to beat GTA? Is he going to play anything else? What's going on? When is he taking time off? Because I am taking time off next week. Then we're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about all the news this week regarding the gaming world. I have 5 stories to cover, so there's a lot going on this week. And then after all that, we're going to talk about GTA 5. We are going to have segments that are spoiler-free, and we're going to have segments that have spoilers. I have a sign that I'm going to hold up when I'm going to start talking about spoilers. What I'm going to say is, you can skip to the next portion of the video if you're watching on YouTube if you don't want to be spoiled, alright? So I'll explain that when we get to it, but I made a sign and everything really cool, alright? Alright, so first of all, what have I been doing this week, okay? So this past week has been interesting because I've been working on some various things leading up to the impending release of GTA 5, okay? Most of which were kind of more of a little bit of filler than anything else. I was playing Kingdom Hearts Final Mix from the Kingdom Hearts HD collection all week. I got really far in it, but I didn't beat it. Unfortunately, there was a day where I was sick to my stomach and I ended up not doing a stream because of that. And it did make me fall a little bit behind on what I wanted to do with that game, okay? I did actually start playing Amnesia: The Dark Descent, to which the first day I think there was a big curiosity factor because people have been asking me to play Amnesia: The Dark Descent for years. They said, Phil, everyone says it's a terrifying, scary game. We'd love to see you do it with your style of commentary. So I did, and I'm going to be quite honest with everyone. I wasn't scared at all. I actually played a game a week before called Outlast, which is a new game that came out for PC recently. I was way more creeped out and scared by that game than I was by Amnesia. If you want my honest opinion, I think Amnesia: The Dark Descent, I'm not saying it's a bad game, I'm saying it's a game that's become insanely overhyped, and the only reason that's scary is because you get idiots with their stupid face cams yelling, "Oh my god, look at the zombie coming after me!" Ah! Like, So if you have a guy who's acting like a little fucking 5-year-old child and screaming at the top of his lungs, that's probably what's entertaining you, not the game. Because I'm playing the game, I wasn't scared at all. The zombies look hilarious. They look like giant happy-faced dudes. It's like, how could you be scared of that? It is so, like, not scary at all. And a lot of the things and stuff that they're trying to put in the atmospheric stuff isn't really that scary. It's more, the story is interesting, I think. It's more interesting than anything else that's supposed to scare you. So, I basically played it for 2 days. The second day I played it, the stream literally went from started with like 700 people and went to like 300. No one was watching the stream. And then the videos on YouTube barely got any views at all. And I'm like, you asked me to play this game for years. Now you know that I don't get scared by games. Very rarely, and it was a few exceptions. Like if you remember, when I was playing Outlast, there were a couple things that did scare me legitimately, and people saw that in the playthrough or whatever. But you know I don't get scared by games. So why would you ask me to play a game whose only real entertainment factor is that people act like little girls when they play the fucking game? That's what I don't understand. So the first few videos of the playthrough, okay, this is good, he's finally playing it, and then immediately on like three or four videos in, this sucks, he's not scared, this is boring. Like, then why did you ask me to fucking play it for so long? Seriously. Because I was actually going to play the sequel, Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, and I got overwhelming people saying, no, don't play it, it's horrible, everyone says it's not good, you should play the first game, which is why I played it, and now no one likes it. So I stopped playing it, and I don't know if I'm going to go back to it at this point. Now I'm into GTA 5, but that's the bottom line. Years people ask me to play something, they want it so bad, I finally give it to them at a point where I have direct capture on my PC and it looks good and I can do it, and everyone complains that it's not what they wanted. Like, then don't ask me to play these just because some fucking little girly dickhead who fucking acts for his videos made a video that was entertaining because he acted like a girl. I'm not going to do that. So don't ask me to play games just because someone else did that. If the game itself on its own merits isn't fucking good or scary, don't ask me to play the goddamn game. Same thing with Slender. Everyone, play Slender, play Slender. I played it, I was like, are you fucking joking me? There's nothing scary about this game. It's a guy who's not even rendered. They didn't even render his body. It's no textures at all. It's just fucking rounded, wavy arm tube man. What the fuck is scary about that? Nothing. This whole fad of people playing these shit games on the internet and then fucking blowing them up to be these huge phenomenon is ridiculous. It's like, do you want legitimate entertainment or do you want someone acting like a clown? That's what it's become. The biggest gamers on YouTube are the people who are clowns. So, you know what? You don't have to watch a person gaming to act like a clown. You could go watch the fucking Three Stooges. They did it way before anyone else. They hit each other in the face with fucking pies, and they doink each other, and they go like this, slap their face. I mean, it's been around forever. How people think that this is entertaining and new is just absolutely ridiculous to me. You can go watch the fucking clowns and stop asking me to play these stupid games if you're not going to watch it and you're going to complain when I fucking play it that I'm not doing it right. Okay? And that's the bottom line. I cannot imagine why people asked me to play Amnesia for so long if they were going to see I wasn't scared and immediately say this playthrough sucks and not watch. You fucking tell me, okay? So I got my little rant off my chest about Amnesia. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to it. I mean, it's not a bad game, like I said, but if no one is interested in it, then why am I going to bother with it? You know, the whole point of me creating entertaining content for you is that you like it and you watch it and we have these interactive experiences. If I'm going to sit here with a stream of barely anyone and no one's going to watch the videos on YouTube, then it's not worth my time. When I like to play games, I like to share the experience with you and you enjoy it, not that you're bored by it. So I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to Amnesia, to be completely honest. Okay, so then I was playing Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Now this game I was really enjoying, and even though it's not everyone, there was a large group of people who were watching me on the stream daily playing this game. And on YouTube, it's not an amazing, wow, knock you on your ass, everyone's, anyone and their mother is watching this playthrough, but it was a pretty good, amount of people who were watching and following every piece and loved the playthrough. And pretty much the worst case scenario happened to me on Monday night. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I never in my wildest dreams did I actually expect that this would happen. Okay? I have not, since day one when I owned my PlayStation 3, I never had a single problem with it. Never had a disk read error. Never had any kind of, malfunctions, lights blinking, it refusing to... It always worked. And so I was so blown away by what happened on Monday night. Wait till you hear this, okay? I'm sorry, it was Sunday night. I take that back. Sunday night. So Sunday night, after I had played some Kingdom Hearts that day, I was watching Blu-ray movies. I watched 2 Blu-ray movies on it. I ejected the movie and I was putting Kingdom Hearts back into the PS3, and as I was doing so, the PS3 turned my TV off. And I said, what just happened? And then I realized the TV didn't turn off, the video feed went out. I said, huh? And all of a sudden my PS3's light, which was green, turned red and started blinking, going beep, 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 beep. I said, oh no, you gotta be fucking shitting me. At first, I couldn't even get the game disc out. I was frantically pressing eject and it wouldn't work. I had to turn, with not holding it down, but turning physically off and on from the back of the console and mashing the eject button for several minutes. It finally ejected the Kingdom Hearts disc. Come to find out, apparently it's like a massive malfunction of the PS3. It's done. There's no way to restore it. Okay? And the problem is, my Kingdom Hearts playthrough is stored in the hard drive on that PS3, and it's impossible to be transferred to another console. Now, I'm still kicking myself in the ass for this, so go ahead, you might as well make fun of me some more. I never adopted cloud saving, mostly because I never really understood how it worked. I didn't know what it was. No one ever really explained the benefits of the cloud saving to me. So this past year, when the PS3 has had it, I never saved my games to the cloud. Plus, it's like I said, I've never had one problem with my PS3, so why would I ever think that maybe I would need cloud save someday? And especially now, less than a month before, you know, I would never need the PS3 again, this happens. Like, worst possible fucking timing. So, the bottom line is this. We tried different things. The PS3's dead, okay? So what does this mean? Well, I've already purchased a replacement PS3. I'm going to be using that PS3 to play Beyond Two Souls and Reign next month. So those games were the only 2 PS3 exclusive games that I was going to play that I needed a PS3 for. And when I'm done with those, I'm pretty much done. I don't need the PS3 anymore. So I'm maybe debating, I don't know, trading it in. I don't know. I have to see, because maybe I'm wondering, will there be any PS3 exclusive games that aren't going to be on PS4? And I don't think so at this point. But I'm going to hold off for a little bit before I consider trading it in until we get a more clear picture of what's going to happen with that. It just sucks that I had to go buy a new PS3 in order to play 2 games, okay? Now, that being said, you might say, oh shit, well, what happened to Kingdom Hearts? And the bottom line is, it's shot. It is shot. It is dead in the water. Now, I do want to say special thanks to, there were 3 different people this week who apparently, out of the kindness of their own heart, have been frantically playing through Kingdom Hearts Final Mix with my build character, who I've been using during the playthrough, because they're such fans, they want to see me continue to play this game. They're trying to get a game save up to the point of where I was. Now, undoubtedly, no matter whose I end up playing, if I do end up playing one of their saves, it's not going to be identical. They're probably not going to have all the items I have. They probably won't have all the poo pages, all the collectibles and things that I found. But at least if I could be close to it, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? So they're dying for me to play this game again. Now, the problem was, I think people have finally come up and realized you can't transfer game saves between different PlayStation Network accounts. So the logistics are not worked out yet. One person this morning tweeted me and said, I've actually up to the point now where you were in the game. How do we talk? And I said, shoot me an email. We'll talk back and forth about it and try to figure it out. The last thing I want to do is lock this poor guy out of his PlayStation account because out of the kindness of his heart, he played his game save up to that point and he wants to give it to me. But we'll see what happens, especially because right now I'm ingrained and embroiled with Grand Theft Auto 5 and how massive it is. So, the bottom line right now, the Kingdom Hearts playthrough is on hiatus simply because I don't have the capability of playing it. If I can work it out with some of these great fans who this week built up the game saves to the point where I was, then I will be continuing the playthrough. But I don't know if that's viable or if it's going to work. I will be looking into this and letting everyone know at a future date what's going to happen with this. Right now, however, of course, what I'm busy with is Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 since the midnight release on, Tuesday morning. I did a huge stream of it then, uploaded the videos to YouTube. Then over the course of Tuesday, I did 2 more streams. Yesterday, I did 2 more streams. And today, I did a stream. So we're talking, I think the entirety of it at this point is 89 parts of content. And the game says that I'm just barely over a third through the game. Now, I think that's a misnomer. It's kind of like it's not exactly correct what they're saying. I think what they're saying is you're 33% through the content of the entire game. Meaning if you were to do every race, every collectible mission, every piece of everything in the game, and of course with GTA games, that's immense, I'm only a third through. if you want my opinion, I think I'm probably, I would say, about halfway through the story. At least I would have to think at this point. I'm about halfway through the story of the game, okay? So, a lot of people have been asking me, what are my plans for the playthrough? Because now I've been playing for 3 straight days. How am I going to go about continuing to play this game? What's the schedule coming up? Can you tell us so we know what to expect, alright? First of all, YouTube, right now, I'm actually, right now, as I'm streaming, in the course of uploading more GTA 5 videos to YouTube. As of the end of tonight, you will have, I think it's going to be 82 videos live on YouTube, and I'm going to queue up the final 7 to start going live tomorrow early afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, as I've been doing every day. I have some videos that midday they're going live, so that you're not just sitting there waiting all day, where the hell are they? Tomorrow, so as of those go live, YouTube will be up to speed. YouTube will be caught up with the stream. Tomorrow I am going to be doing 2 more streams of Grand Theft Auto 5, alright? Now, some people have been saying, Phil, we haven't been watching the playthrough because we're playing the game ourselves, alright? But what are your plans? Are you playing it like, more of like a game where you're just going through the story? Are you playing it like Skyrim, where you're going around just exploring everything? Are you doing maybe a hybrid, where you're doing some story, some exploration? How are you attacking this game? So up to now, the way I've been attacking the game is playing through the story, doing whatever random side missions appear on the mini-map, okay? So if it's on the mini-map as like, oh, question mark, meet a new person here, I'll do it. However, if it's not that, if it's like an optional activity like the races, the flying, the trafficking, I haven't done any of that stuff yet. However, I'm not saying I'm not going to. What my plan to do here is for the next day or 2 that I play GTA 5 to keep doing that kind of mentality, okay? And then see how far along I am in the story. And once I get to a point where I'm near the end of the game, then I'll say, alright, I'm going to take my time and branch out and do all these unlocked optional activities, because probably by that point in the game, I'll have enough money where I'll be able to possibly get bit armor that I'll need, trick out the rides, you know what I mean? Do the stuff that I need to do to perform in those activities or tasks better than just doing it cold turkey out of nowhere, alright? So, rough schedule for the next few days. Tomorrow, Grand Theft Auto 5 all day. Saturday, taking a day off of Grand Theft Auto 5 completely because I will be doing co-op with John Rambo. He'll be here to do an episode of Smart Guys, our wrestling commentary show, okay? And then all day on Saturday is a Rayman Legends marathon. Our goal is to try to get as far into the game as we can, if not complete the main story or whatever you want to call it, without unlocking all the optional stuff, but at least trying to beat the game, because we know that there's other impending stuff coming up, including Grand Theft Auto Online, including, there's 1 or 2 games, big co-op games coming out that I know we're going to want to do. Eventually Dead Rising 3, obviously, when the Xbox One launches. But, yeah, there's a few things coming out that I know we're going to want to do, and because of that, we're trying to get as far in Rayman as we can, okay? So that's Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are now wide open for me to do whatever I want. More than likely, it's going to be mostly GTA 5. Let's be honest, it's the biggest release, one of the biggest releases of the year, the biggest release this week, undoubtedly. There's no releases next week. Purposely, game publisher said, we know GTA is big enough, we are holding back and not releasing any games the week after GTA, because we don't want to get fucking crushed financially. So they're wise to do that, in my opinion. They know everyone will still be playing GTA 5, okay? So for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, chances are I will be heavily focusing on GTA 5. I do have other videos to upload. I'm going to have the Rayman, okay? I still have some parts of Rayman from last week I haven't uploaded yet. Kingdom Hearts, again, I have to talk with these people and see if I can figure out if it's viable for me to continue the playthrough or not. I'll obviously keep everyone appraised of that situation once I get more developments in it, okay? The other game that's like the elephant in the room is Wind Waker HD, which comes out tomorrow digitally on the Wii U Marketplace. I was very interested in playing this game until I heard that they decided they would release it the same week as Grand Theft Auto 5, which immediately means that it's going to suffer in sales, and once again, Nintendo are a bunch of complete fucking idiots. You finally get a game for the Wii U that people are going to want to play, and you release it the week of the biggest release of, like, months that you know every gamer who owns a console it's on is going to want to fucking play it. What the fuck are you thinking, Nintendo? Duh! Every other game publisher decided not to release their games this week or next week because of GTA 5. You're the one stupid studio who thought that you were oblivious to it. You're fucking stupid. Oh my god. So anyway, I'm still considering playing Wind Waker HD. I just don't know in these next few days if I'm going to have any time to tackle it. I probably won't because I'll probably be finishing up GTA 5. Now that being said, I do realize that after my week of time off, which we're about to discuss so you understand it, I'm coming back on October 1st. Grand Theft Auto Online launches. And what my plan is for the first day or two, I'm just going to be jumping on there and inviting people to join my games, and we're going to go on and just see what the hell it is. For a couple days, just go on GTA Online and explore the depth and the realm of what it is. What are these missions that are going to be pre-packaged and available? What exactly will everything be, okay? And then once we've got a grip after a day or two of what exactly Grand Theft Auto Online is, then I can decide for myself, am I going to do Suicide Kings? And if I do, which I really want to do, and I think there's a 99% chance we're doing unless they've done something to just completely disable the way to do it, how can we schedule it? Who can we get involved? What's the scope of what we can do? Can we spawn vehicles in certain areas, or do we have to go steal them ahead of time like we did in Red Dead Redemption? You actually had to go just steal pre-existing vehicles that were in the universe and do shit with them like that. Is there going to be a level creator upon the launch of GTA 5, GTA Online? If there is, can we create our own worlds right away? Can we just use the city and then put fucking 100 planes and we have plane races and all kinds of shit going on? I don't know, and nobody knows. That's the thing. So I can't tell you what the exact plans will be when nobody knows what to expect from Grand Theft Auto Online right now. But that's going to be when I come back from my break, October 1st. Now, dependent on that, if we're all having a lot of fun and all day I'm playing with people and we're loving GTA Online, I'm making videos of it and it's going up on YouTube, people are like, wow, this is fucking great, then I'm probably going to be focusing on that for almost an entire week. If people are like, okay, it's good, but it's too much, a week of just that is way too much, we want variety, then maybe I'll start playing Wind Waker HD. So we'll have to see, okay? It's a possibility, but I'm not sure. Now, next week, starting on Wednesday of next week, I am off, meaning I'm taking time off to spend with my girlfriend Panda Lee. She's coming to visit. Right now, we're in the course of working out what's our schedule of what we're going to be doing during the week. So we're not sure what the hell we're going to be doing during that week. Will there be any gameplay possibly? Because we haven't done gameplay together in quite some time. I don't know. I don't want to promise anything. There may be, because it looks like she's coming a little bit earlier than usual. Maybe we'll have a spare day where we can be here and do some gaming together and do a stream together or whatever. I'm not positive, but I don't want to promise anything, but it is possible that something might happen. However, next week there will be no Hate Live. And I do want to warn everyone, because the week after, when GTA Online launches, is also the same week that I do Ask the King. So that week I will be doing Ask the King on Thursday, not Hate Live. So this is quite literally the last Hate Live for like 3 weeks. This Smart Guys on Saturday is going to be the last Smart Guys for a few weeks. So it behooves you this week, if you want to be in the know of everything that's going on, to watch everything, before I go on hiatus. Alright? Okay. So we talked about the schedule and all that. Now let's talk about gaming news, and then we're going to talk about my personal thoughts about Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, okay? So gaming news this week. Boy, do we have a lot of news. First of all, the first announcement this week was that Apple would be releasing the iOS 7 operating system for all of its devices starting today. That's right, today, or last night maybe. I think it was maybe last night it launched. So we're talking on iPhones. We're talking on iPads. My iPad's right over here. And anything else that runs on, like iOS, you can get an upgrade. Now, I was very confused, because I was sure that just like every other fucking program on the planet, or every computer that I have, when there's an update, there'd be 400 pop-ups. Oh, there's an update. You gotta get it. You gotta get it. I didn't see anything on my iPad or my iPhone. So I don't know if it's like you have to have it actually specifically check to see if there's an operating system update. So I myself have not had a chance to experiment with the new iOS 7 operating system. However, I've seen a few people who have, including Howard, was tweeting about it earlier today, and everyone who's upgraded seems to love it. They seem to be saying there are drastic improvements. The operating system's better. Some people are actually thinking about who have the older iPhone. Like, I have the iPhone 5. Some people have, like, the iPhone 4, thinking of upgrading to the 5S because they want to get all the optimizations of the iOS 7 operating system. I don't know. I may or may not upgrade, depending on if I can figure out how to do it. But people are saying rave things about it, so that's a good thing, I guess. Obviously, if I do upgrade at some point, I'll let everyone know, and I'll let you know what I think about the operating system, okay? The next piece of news that came out this week was that Atlus, the well-renowned gaming studio that makes typically JRPGs, anime-style games, that kind of stuff. I believe they're the publisher that actually published Catherine. They also do things like Disgaea, Persona, okay? This publisher has been purchased. Now, it's funny because they weren't specifically purchased, but their parent company was purchased by SEGA. Now, SEGA primarily has not been focusing on video games. They do have a gaming studio that puts out games every once in a while, but for the past, years, they've more been focusing on their actual gambling machines in Japan. I don't know how many people actually know that. But SEGA has been putting out games here or there, and usually they're pretty solid outings. I don't think anyone's, like, pissed that SEGA bought out Atlus and is now basically in charge of the Atlus as a studio. But at the same time, some people are kind of like, I don't know if this is what they want. Maybe they were looking for a studio who maybe has history publishing these kind of games before to maybe step up and do it. I think people are relieved that it wasn't a company like EA, you know what I mean, that bought them out, because then they'd be like, oh God, now watch EA, they're going to put in online passes, they're going to change everything about the games, they're going to have try to have all this creative control. That's the last thing people want. They want their ongoing game series that have been around for a while to stay true to their roots. They don't want them to be drastically changed to try to appeal to a new audience. So, being with SEGA, it's uncertain to see what's going to happen with this game studio. However, it's better than nothing. It's better than them not having a parent studio, not being able to publish games, alright? Going along with this same kind of really uncertainty in the gaming business world right now, Machinima this week laid off another 10% of their workforce. So that makes 2 major layoffs within the course of 1 year. Okay? Now, Machinima only employs about 200 people. Last year they laid off over 20. This week they laid off over 20. Alright? I have been in the corporate world. I know signs of problems. Signs of financial problems, signs of management and structural problems, and signs that a business is falling apart at the seams and has no viable future vision. I am worried about Machinima, because when you have 2 rounds of cuts like that, and I can specifically tell you people who I used to talk to at the company who aren't there anymore. I had a guy who was my direct line of contact. If I had a question about anything, he was the guy I was to go to. Right now, I have nobody, because the guy who I was talking to got laid off and they never gave me a replacement. So, just give you an idea what's going on. There's some bad stuff going on right now with the whole gaming industry as a whole. You've got one studio that needed to get sold off, and hopefully they can make more games. You've got these gaming companies that are huge, partnering people on the internet to allow them to do gaming videos, and they're laying people off in droves, all right? In 2 years, you laid off 20% of your workforce. That's horrible. That's horrible by any standards, okay? And, of course, Machinima puts out their really bullshit PR story that was a pre-prepared statement. Oh, don't worry, this is all part of our predetermined growth plan. Like, growth plan? You laid off 40 people. That's not growth. Whoever PR idiot tried to fucking spin it like that is a complete asshole. So, it's funny. It's funny because you see that Machinima is prospering in many different ways. If you actually look at things such as their web series, they've got things like that Halo web series last year, that live-action Mortal Kombat last year, that they actually did pretty well with. Of course, what you have to realize is that they also have thousands and thousands of partners who they ask to promote their content for free. So if I had thousands of people to promote my content for free, and they all had a reach on YouTube, probably I would be doing a little bit better. I'm just saying. So I don't know. I mean, what's happening? Is this company restructuring? Are they even going to continue to have these partner channels? It's a major concern, obviously, for me, because I'm partnered with Machinima. And unfortunately, as I've said, I have no one to talk to. I cannot call Machinima right now and talk to anyone because the people who were my contacts have been laid off. So it sucks, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens as we near the end of this year. I know that my contract expires in December with Machinima. Actually, it's January when it expires with Machinima. But I know they'll be talking with me probably come December again like they did last year. And I'm going to have some serious conversations with these guys and see what they have to say. Because it's very disheartening that a company is literally looks like it's falling apart. And this is the company that's giving me my money and letting me support myself. It's not just me. Think about how many people are Machinima partners. And that could just go away overnight. So we're going to see what they have to say by the end of this year. Okay? Again, going along with this whole theme of negativity in the gaming business industry, there's now rumors, I don't know if this has been confirmed, but there were strong rumors this week that Capcom is nearing a bankruptcy, okay? Now, when I say that, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean they don't have money, but the report is that supposedly Capcom only has about $138 million in the bank. Now, you may say, $138 million? Holy shit, if I had $138 million, I'd be set for life. Okay, true. But they're not one person. This is a company that employs thousands of people. They have games in all different genres. They have different development studios and projects under their umbrella. For them to only have $138 million in the bank, let me give you some perspective. Grand Theft Auto 5 had something like a $200-something million budget to make the game. Now, of course, it was the most expensive game of all time, but to make epic games, you need big budgets. Capcom doesn't have the money anymore. To which I have to ask, what the fuck happened? Where did the money go? Because Capcom had a tremendous success with Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, and all of its expansions. That game was a cash cow for them. And then, of course, subsequently, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 also sold quite well. Where did the money go? What the hell did they piss away this money into? Was it something like these projects, such as Lost Planet 3, which recently released to very critical kind of almost panning? Not saying that it's a horrible game, but it's very boring, lackluster. You know, why'd they make this game when Part 2 was such a different game? This game isn't very good. And, you know, that was a game that Capcom for a while was pushing heavily. They had it at E3 2012. I saw it there. They had a giant booth promoting it, and no one even cared about it then. So I don't see, you know, are they just making really bad internal decisions that are leading to money bleeding out of the company that they've lost all their money? It's crazy, all right? And keep in mind, all the negative things that have been happening around Capcom for the past several years. The exodus of talent, all the original people who worked on games such as Resident Evil, Mega Man, they've all left the company. They said, fuck this, and they left. Was it creative differences? Was it money? What was the issue, you know? And then you see series that people, the fans, are rabid for. Release another game in this series, we will buy it, we love it. Mega Man is the case in point, and Capcom just outright refusing to work on them. Therefore, the creator of Mega Man leaving Capcom and is now actually making a game called Mighty Number 9 that is Mega Man, but it's just his version of the character because he wants to keep making good Mega Man games. And it's like, what is going on with this company that, you know, that this stuff keeps happening? You have a game like Remember Me. That was a game that's been bounced around like 100 different studios, okay? Capcom picked it up, released it, wasn't a sales success at all. It was kind of a flop, actually. And it's like, what is going on internally with this company? Because there was a time, I grew up during the time, when whatever Capcom did, it was golden, alright? Whatever game they made, the games were fucking, every game was outstanding. Every game was AAA. Every game was top tier, okay? You could make, as long as it had the word Capcom on the box, you bought it. And you didn't question what, you could have been, wow, X-Men, I don't even fucking like X-Men, but Capcom made it. I'm buying that game, and the game was fucking great. And that was the bottom line. There was this era where they just shat gold everywhere, and incidentally, this is what my Back to the in the Day segment of Hate Live tonight is going to be about. The era when Capcom was huge. Capcom, no matter what they did, everyone loved it. Arcade games, home console games, out the wazoo, and they even continued throughout the 90s into the PS1 era, and then all of a sudden, somewhere they lost their way, okay? So we're going to talk about that in the Back in the Day segment tonight. But if you really want my opinion, despite all the fact that Capcom's made all these horrible business decisions, it's a combination of two things that really happened that fucked over Capcom these past couple years. The first being, they tried to nickel and dime the customer in a way that didn't benefit the customer, alright? And this is I've said this in the past, okay? And we're going to talk about it back in the day, so maybe I shouldn't go too much into detail about it. But in the past, Capcom had, say, 5 different versions of Street Fighter 2, and they were released within a 2 to 2.5 year window. So absolutely, just like right now with Street Fighter 4, they had Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Arcade Edition 2012, Ultimate Street Fighter 4, Super Mega Hard-On Boner Edition Street Fighter 4. And they're all coming out within, 3-4 years. This happened before with Street Fighter 2. The difference was, okay, back then, it was the arcade owner who took on that additional cost, and the arcade owner was able to recoup that cost because every time a new edition of the game came out, fighting game fans flocked to the arcades to play the new edition because it has the newest updates. Keep in mind, there was no additional cost to the player. There was always a quarter or 2 quarters, however much it cost for one play. They would always play the same. So I'm playing a new game for the same cost as I used to play the old one. This is great. So that business model worked. This one, where you're nickel and diming your customer for stupid little thing, additional characters are $5, costumes or this, the DLC is already on the goddamn disc, but we're going to keep charging you for it anyway. The customer looks at it and says, where is the value added to me? In order to own all of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I have to spend $160? Fuck Capcom, they're out of their fucking minds. And that's what everyone literally said. They collectively put up their middle fingers and said, no, Capcom, fuck you. This isn't the same business model you used in the 90s. And I think that's really why Capcom is in dire straits right now. Okay? In addition to that, Capcom decided in the last few years to take a lot of their more popular franchises and adapt them to be more mainstream games. Now, in some cases it succeeded, and in some cases it failed. In the case of Street Fighter, it's been a massive success. More people today are playing Street Fighter than they used to back in the hardcore days of the 90s and early 2000s because they made the games more accessible. They made it so that you could double tap a corner and press a button and the guy does a fucking reversal dragon punch where previously you would need to have perfect timing, do the correct input to get it. There's way less skill involved in learning to play Street Fighter anymore, and so many thousands more people have been playing the game because of it. But the other franchise that they did this to that's blowing up in their faces is Resident Evil. Resident Evil 5 and 6 significantly dumbed down the games, making the games co-op, having ease of controls, making it a more action-based experience rather than survival horror, which is what people knew was synonymous with the name Resident Evil. Now, some people who have been able to look at these games objectively say, okay, it's not the same, but it's still good. I was one of the biggest proponents of Resident Evil 6 last year. That game was long, 3 separate campaigns. The campaigns crossed over, which is something that you almost rarely ever see in a video game these days. Had online cooperative play that actually crossed over in unique ways. Was a big budget experience. Production values were up the wazoo. I loved it. It was my favorite action game of last year. And people panned it because they said it's not like original Resident Evil, because people don't have this objective mindset anymore. They're all subjective. Oh, it's not what I remember, so it's not good. And people need to change that mindset. I talked about that last year. I don't need to go back into detail about that. But that's another massive loss. So at the same time that you're losing all of your top talent, you decide to start nickel and diming your customers. You get huge negative backlash in the gaming press. And then you change your biggest franchise into something people don't like because they're used to the old style and that's what they want more of. They've completely fucked themselves. And so Capcom is in dire financial straits. It's unclear whether or not they'll either be able to produce another big budget game. In fact, it was interesting because just recently, someone asked someone from Capcom, and forgive me for not having the specifics, but one of the heads of Capcom was asked, gee, when do you think you'll be making Street Fighter 5? To which he responded, oh, I wouldn't expect to see that till like maybe 2018. And the interviewer was like, what? 2018? Are you telling me it's going to take you 5 more years to make it? And basically he was like, the immense cost of the budget and the amount of talent they would have to put towards putting a new installment in the game instead of just doing another expansion to Street Fighter 4, that it would take them that long. So now people are like, gee, is Capcom going to survive till 2018? Because what games, honestly, are they putting out that people are playing all the time right now? And the answer is, quite frankly, nothing. Resident Evil 6 was, by all means, an actual sales disappointment for Capcom. They thought it was going to do way better than it did. That was their big game last year, and it didn't sell as well as they hoped. Fighting games are not doing well anymore. Street Fighter Cross Tekken was a miserable failure because they tried to nickel and dime the customer, and there was such a backlash from the people, okay? And really, what else recently have they put out that anyone's playing? Now, there is a little bit of hope. there's a little bit of hope, a ray of hope, because the Tokyo Game Show, which is actually taking place, I believe, right now, I could be wrong, but I think it's this week, they showed off the reveal footage of their new game called Deep Down, which is supposed to be some kind of a survival horror game, but it's not clear what it is yet. People are watching the Deep Down trailer footage and be like, what is this? Like, it's confusing. It's interesting, it's hooking their interest, but it's confusing. They can't tell what the hell the game is yet. So there is hope that they are working on new lines that maybe can replace these that are kind of failing, but at the same time, are they going to be able to hold out with only $138 million in the bank? You know what I mean? That's a huge problem for them. Okay, so that's pretty much the gaming news this week, all the gaming stories that I wanted to cover. Now for about, I'd say probably 10-15 minutes, let's talk about GTA 5 and then we'll take a break, okay? So, Grand Theft Auto 5, first of all, I'm going to do a spoiler-free segment right now where I'm going to give you my opinions about the game, the gameplay, the graphics, that kind of stuff. The objective stuff where it's nothing about the plot or anything where I'm spoiling the game for you, okay? So, I'll be honest, I was one of the people who... Oh, one last thing. People are saying, Phil, you didn't mention Hiroshi Yamauchi, who was one of the founders of Nintendo. Okay, he passed away. Rest in peace. That's not news. That's unfortunate, but it's not news, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about it en masse. So, one of the originators of Nintendo, unfortunately, passed away this week. Okay. So, Grand Theft Auto 5. I was one of the people who, during the whole build-up of Grand Theft Auto 5, over the past year when it's been hyped and there was gameplay leaked and this and that, I stayed away from all of it because I said I want to isolate myself to the point where I only know the very basics about the game, so when I play it, it's not like, oh, okay, well, I already knew half this happened because I've basically spoiled the fuck out of myself, okay? And I did a good job of it. I really did. I did a good job. So what I want to say is this. Grand Theft Auto 5 plays like Grand Theft Auto, but feels like a different game. GTA 5, to me, feels like the culmination of years of ideas that finally they said, we're going to take all the cool creative stuff that we've wanted to do and have done in the previous Grand Theft Autos, we're going to fucking smash it together and put it into one beast of a game. A game that's bigger than any open world game ever seen before. A game that's going to be expansive. It's going to be a living, breathing world. We're going to make sure the graphics engine on this thing is fucking top tier. We're going to make sure that everything is in line. And from my experience so far, yes, so far, it's been absolutely nuts. Okay? It's been like, I'm playing the game, and it had a little bit of a slow start, but it picked up. I got to the point where you have all three of the main characters, because yes, there are three protagonists in this game. That's no spoiler. Everyone knows that. And once you get to a certain point in the game, you can switch between them on the fly. And each character has some of their own individual missions to do. They have their own individual, if you remember in the GTA 4, I think they called them like the random encounters with random citizens of Liberty City. In this game, they actually show up on the minimap, which is a godsend because you know where the fuck to go to find these people, which was a major pain with Grand Theft Auto 4. You never knew where to go. But each character has their own unique missions and people to find, but then there are missions that are crossover missions. And so, just for an example, there was one mission where one guy was doing something way ahead, called another guy on a cell phone. That guy did something to get him information to figure out what the other guy on the other end of the line had to do, told the guy on the phone, the other guy said, okay, went ahead and did what he had to do. So it's really interesting to see it from the different perspectives. The characters are so dramatically freaking different. Three completely different people from three completely different walks of life. I mean, a crazy psychopath versus a former kind of almost retired criminal, but not really, versus an up-and-coming youngster. It's really cool. And what I really like is that they tried to do original things with the game. Instead of saying, we're just going to do the same GTA gameplay, they actually made it harder. Like the combat, you will die significantly quicker in this game than in other GTA games. You're not a human tank that much anymore. You have to be very careful. You have to be constantly taking cover. They actually have abilities now. What that means is while you're in certain situations, whether it's driving or combat, each character has a unique ability with a momentum bar that they charge up, and once it's filled out, they can use it. So one character, for example, basically becomes a tank. He can run out of cover and just start shooting everyone around. It creates slow motion bullet time, and everything he gets hit by, he barely gets hurt. Another guy gets better driving skills, okay? So each guy has a unique character. They've never done that in Grand Theft Auto ever before. They've never had three protagonists in a Grand Theft Auto before, okay? The graphics engine on this game is fucking sick, all right? it is able to handle an insanely long draw distance. So I'm telling you, when I'm in the sky, flying a plane or doing something in a helicopter and I'm high up, you've got the most amazing freaking views of San Andreas. And it's awesome that I've been to Los Angeles and to Hollywood before, because I'm recognizing popular landmarks all around me. I remember, Hollywood Boulevard, Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's not called that. It's called, as an inside joke, it's actually called Bishop's What the Fuck. But that museum is actually there. It's in the game. Historical landmarks are in the game. It's so cool to see that stuff in the game represented. It's not 100% accurate, absolutely not, but it's really well done. And the police are way different than in previous Grand Theft Auto games. You basically have to outsmart them, and once you figure out how to outsmart them, it's pretty easy. Like, oh no, the cops are chasing me, so what I should do is drive 20 blocks in one direction and pull into an alley and hope that they drive by. A lot of the times they will, but if you weren't careful and you left too close to you, they will still snag you. The cops also look for you significantly longer in this game than they did in previous Grand Theft Auto games. So it's a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, to elude the police without a solid game plan on how you're going to do so. Okay? It's just really well done. And everything, when you're playing the game, you realize you're playing a AAA game. And some people ask, why does Rockstar take so long between releasing Grand Theft Auto titles? Like 4 was in what, 2008, 2009? I think it was 2008. And this one took till 2013. You can tell why. The polish on this game is crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. There's its share of game bugs. Already, I've seen some hilarious things, such as me walking into my house and my wife is dancing on the countertop in a bikini with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a glass fused into her hands, and she's going like this on the countertop. I mean, there were some hilarious bugs, and you're bound to get these kind of things in open world games like this. They can't maintain everything at all times. But for the most part, it's been pretty damn good. There is texture popping, absolutely. I do want to say that. However, it's not as bad. In Grand Theft Auto 4, when you were driving at top speed, texture popping was all the fucking way around you. Like, everywhere you went, you would have cars, buildings, things that weren't even rendering until they were almost in your face if you were driving at top speed. This game, when you're driving at top speed, it does a pretty damn good job. I mean, yes, every once in a while you'll see it, but it's nothing like glaring problem like you had in GTA 4. These guys really did a AAA fucking job of updating their engine to be modern. And it's funny because people, oh, here comes the new generation of consoles. What do you mean? Grand Theft Auto 5 is not being released for Xbox One and PS4? When you play this on the modern generation or the current generation of consoles, you say, they don't need it. They took the time to make this game amazing on the existing technology. Okay? So, I've been playing the game, alright, 3 days straight, 6 streams worth, right now 89 parts. So you're talking, if you divide that, so let's say it was 90 parts, that would be 900 minutes, divide that by 60, right? So you're talking about 15 hours of gameplay I've been into the game. I love it. And I am going to go into a spoiler section here where I am going to warn you, so don't worry yet, okay? But for what it is, the gameplay of the game is outstanding, and I cannot wait to go back to it tomorrow. It's like every day I think this is it. This is the day when I've been playing this game for 3 days straight, and I'm finally going to get tired of it. I'm going to say, you know what? It's too much, or, it's going to get boring and repetitive today, and it hasn't. Every day there's something crazy, refreshing, and new that they have me doing that I didn't expect, and I'm like, damn, I want to keep playing this game. They did a fucking great job, okay? So I'm very pleased with GTA 5 so far. The other thing you got to realize, and I actually said this to my girlfriend Panda Lee the other day. I said, the thing that really gets me about Grand Theft Auto 5, alright, is that when you play this game, alright, and you think, I paid $60 for it. It was a $60 retail release. And you're getting this amount of amazing content out of this game. And then to think, in 2 weeks, you'll also be getting Grand Theft Auto Online, which is going to be a robust online multiplayer mode that could last a long-ass time. And some people are saying it may be good enough to sell separately because it's that good of a fucking game, okay? And you think you paid $60 to get this overwhelming amount of AAA content How many games have you bought in the past few years that you paid $60 and that game was disappointing, it was repetitive, it was shitty, and how badly is Rockstar North putting other game studios to shame right now, showing them that they are pretty much the top echelon of game development. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're the best game developers on the planet. By far, I'm not saying that. And I also do have a bone to pick with Rockstar, because they are elitists. They seem to be the kind of people who are like, if you go to a game convention, they hide their booth. So you have to fucking go behind closed doors. God forbid you pull a camera or anything out when you're watching the footage of their games. Don't tell too much to other people about it. They were the ones who years ago were flagging videos on YouTube for copyright claims, even though this time around they have not. And that's the one cool thing to say. They haven't flagged pretty much anyone who's done a playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 5 at all, unless they did pre-release, like before the midnight release footage. And I think it's because they're wising up. They're realizing we need to have this fan interaction. We don't want to look like the bad guys. We want to say we're the game development studio that is amazing and puts out the best games on the planet. And we also want to show that we're pro-gamer. So we're not going to be dicks if you want to share your gameplay experiences with others. They haven't done that this time around. And I think it's buying massive approval from the gaming community. I mean, just the launch window of Grand Theft Auto apparently sold something like 800 million, I think they said, some ridiculously high amount of money. $800 million in a day. That's, I mean, over the course of the week, they're going to have over $1 billion. By far, they're going to have over $1 billion they made on this game in 1 week. So saying, oh, I had the biggest game budget ever, 200-something million, means nothing. They've already recouped that and then some. And this is just launch week. How many people are going to get this game later? You know what I mean? So it's absolutely nuts. Okay? Now, for about 5 minutes, it's going to be spoilers, everyone. Well, actually, before I move into that, hold on. I do want to announce this. I've been talking about it on all of my streams this week, but in case you don't watch my streams, alright, guess what this is? This is a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 Collector's Edition for the Xbox 360. Keep in mind, it is NTSC, which is the North American Territory version of the game. One lucky subscriber on Twitch TV will be winning this weekend. That's right, I'm giving this away this weekend. So come Sunday, when I do the weekend preview stream, I will be selecting someone who is a paid subscriber of mine on Twitch TV to receive this. Now, I understand my fan base is 50% international. There may be someone who doesn't want the domestic version of the game. If that's the case and the winner is international, we'll talk about it. We'll work something else out. We'll figure it out, okay? However, I think people are going to love this, all right? I got this as a special way to give back to my paid subscribers on Twitch TV. And it's just, you know, it's people who've been supporting me for months, who out of their pocket have been paying me, you know, money for my content when I don't require it. And I'm so appreciative of that, I wanted to give back somehow. And I know I couldn't give back to all of them, so one lucky winner is going to get something really cool. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably have no concept of what I'm talking about, especially if you don't frequent Twitch TV. Basically, Twitch TV has a subscription-based program where people can pay a certain amount of money a month, a flat rate, and then I get half of that. So it's kind of like, it is a donation, but at the same time, I give them stuff in exchange. For example, they get access to premium icons, which I usually never show anyone on YouTube, but I might as well show you right now. This is what those guys get. They get to use these icons in the stream chats if they want. They don't have to, but they get access to them. They also get a special priority chat level in the stream chats. And then this is the first time where I'm actually giving something concrete back to them for being paid subscribers, all right? So don't worry if you're a YouTuber and you don't watch the streams, and if you're one of the people who watches me on stream but you can't afford to be a paid subscriber, it's not a big deal. Never am I going to hold it against you and say, oh no, I want you to start paying for my content. It's mandatory. I will be doing some giveaways later this year. I actually talked about it on stream. I actually have some digital codes to give away to people, which is cool because that way I don't have to mail anything to anyone. I also have a few other physical games that I may be giving away by the end of this year as I do the hardcore season, the hardcore gaming season giveaway. I am doing it this year. I just haven't had a chance to get it going yet. So that's coming. So don't worry about it. Okay. All right. So right now I'm doing it, ladies and gentlemen. Spoiler alert! I'm putting it at the sign. Spoiler alert! If you don't want to be spoiled as to the plot of Grand Theft Auto 5, alright, what you're going to want to do if you're watching this on Twitch TV is wait until I come back from break, because I'm going to be talking about this for a couple minutes, and then we're going to go to break. When I come back, we're going to do the Back in the Day segment, okay? If you're watching this on YouTube, skip ahead to the next segment. Do not watch this segment. There will be plot spoilers of the game exposed. Spoiler fucking alert! Okay. I don't know how much more clear I can make it that there's spoilers coming. Alright, so for those of you who are still watching and haven't tuned out, the plot of GTA 5 is also just blowing me away. First of all, the characters. Let's talk about the three protagonists. They're unique people from completely different walks of life. They've really did a good job of showing you these people, where they're coming from, what they're coming up into, and why they're doing what they're doing in the game. And I don't think, excuse me, in any game ever have I ever played a character as vile, as evil, as careless, as conscienceless, like having a conscience, conscienceless, not having a conscience, and just as insane as Trevor. That guy is fucking nuts. He's a unique character. I don't think anyone's gonna forget Trevor anytime soon, but at the same time, it's like, he's likable in certain ways, but then all of a sudden he'll just go off the cuff and start murdering people, and you're like, I can't like this guy. He's a villain. He is a villain. Undoubtedly, he's a villain. But he's a protagonist, one of the main guys in the game that you have to follow along. Okay? Michael. Michael, who's kind of the criminal who wanted to retire but can't retire because he keeps getting pulled back in by the FBI or the FIB, whatever you want to call them. And now, unfortunately, his whole life's falling apart because of it. You've got Franklin, the up-and-comer, he's a young kid. He's trying to make it on the streets. Similar to CJ, basically. He's kind of like the character that identifies with the CJ character from San Andreas, and I really think that's why he's in there, because they wanted a character as a throwback character to CJ to show the relationship between different people and how it works out, okay? So, I'm loving it. I'm loving the dialogue. The dialogue is some of the best dialogue I've heard in a game in quite some time, including some of the most hilarious fucking things. Like, obviously they're racially insensitive, but they're funny because it's true. Like, let's face it, rich white people a lot of times are afraid of African Americans. They really are. They see them as like this cannibalistic group of enemies who are out to get them and their money and take down their power. There's people who think this, all right? Like, I'm not making it up. I actually in my life have known some people like this. This is what they think. So to have a scene where there's two kind of rich white people inside of a giant mansion, and you're the character Franklin, and you break in to this mansion trying to sneak around and find something, basically steal a car, but as you're doing it, one of the white guys sees you, flips out and says, "Oh, we need help, he's black, he's black!" Like, it's the worst thing on the planet that he's black. He could have been any other nationality, but because he's black, the devil's in his house. It's like those kinds of lines are what Rockstar does best. They push the envelope to the point of absurdity, but it's fucking hilarious. The way it's done, if you get the joke's fucking hilarious. And obviously that whole joke is about white people being fucking so paranoid about African American people. Oh my god, there's a black man in my house. I know I'm gonna die. It's like, what the fuck? You know? So there's a lot of good stuff in the game so far that I'm liking with the plot. Now, keep in mind, I'm probably only about halfway through the plot. I'm liking how now that I'm halfway through, it's picking up. It's picking up where each character has their own plot lines going on, but then every once in a while you get pulled back together to do a heist or to do a co-op mission where you all need each other's help to actually do this nearly impossible, almost Mission Impossible-esque task. So I'm really enjoying that portion of the game. I'm loving it. I cannot wait to play more Grand Theft Auto 5 tomorrow. Okay. All right. So that's it for my GTA talk. Spoiler alert. I don't need to do this, but spoiler alert is done. No more spoiler alert. We'll be right back. We're gonna go on break. Okay. And when we come back, we're gonna be back in the day. I'm gonna tell you about Capcom, how it used to be, the great games they used to put out, the way that people worshipped them as a company, how they could do no wrong. It was so different. So freaking different from how they are today, and I don't think a lot of people even realize the extent of the stuff that they used to make and how popular it was. So we're going to come back and talk all about that, alright? So, thanks everyone. Now it's time for a short break. I'm going to come back and we'll be back in the day, okay? Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Oops, I almost forgot to unmute the mic, but I got myself that time. Alright, everyone. Welcome back to the Back in the Day segment of Hate Live. Okay? And the Back in the Day segment is going to be talking about the heyday of Capcom. Alright? So, let me give you my personal experiences with Capcom as I was growing up as a gamer. It was always a love relationship, meaning Capcom loved its customers and I loved Capcom. They started out as a company that I only knew for fighting games. They branched eventually into so much stuff that they were just ingrained. They had these many series that were just like going everywhere into everything, and people absolutely loved it. So let me give you an idea what it was like back then, okay? Okay, so I remember my first experiences with Capcom were actually, if I remember correctly, I don't remember if I had actually played Mega Man 3 first or if I played Street Fighter 2 first. Street Fighter 2 was released in 1991. Mega Man 3, I can't put my finger on when it was released. But basically, my first arcade game by Capcom that I ever played was Street Fighter 2. The first home console arcade game that I ever played from Capcom was Mega Man 3. And I remember, I've already given my story of how I grew up in arcades, okay, and how I got into arcades at first and stuff like that. If you want to hear about that, that was a previous Hate Life podcast with Back in the Day. But I remember the day when I was going to arcades to play games that were side-scrolling beat-em-ups like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden one day, there was this game there that was a head-to-head two-player fighting game. No one had ever really seen anything like that before. It was always like, either it's one player against the computer, or it's cooperative, or if there was a competitive game, it's usually like a shooter or something. There was never like a direct competition game before. It's you versus him, winner stays, loser pays. That was actually the slogan that they used on those games. Winner stays, because the winner, if you won the match, you get to keep playing without putting additional money into the machine. Loser pays. The loser either has to pay to play again, or he has to go to the back of the line because other people are waiting to play. Okay? So, we saw this game, and first of all, for arcade games, the graphics blew everyone away. Because the detail of the characters, I mean, we're talking an era, alright, when arcade games were turning from things such as, you know, the bleeps and bloops of Galaga and Centipede and Pac-Man and that kind of stuff, and they were finally becoming robust graphical experiences. So, of course, by today's standards, anyone who plays Street Fighter 2, oh, that's a child's toy. But to us, that looked amazing, okay? You were just getting into that era where games were looking more realistic. And really, the fighters in Street Fighter 2 were some of the most realistic-looking humanoids in gaming at the time. The fact that there were 8 characters you could select, 8 different characters, that was unheard of. It was not another arcade game ever where there were 8 different characters you could select from, okay? The fact that there were 6 buttons, it was at the time the most complex button layout for any video game in arcades. And for Capcom to take these risks, to somehow have the foresight that this was going to turn into something that people were really going to enjoy on a competitive level and become this big cultural phenomenon, I don't know. I really don't know, because it's funny, when you look at Street Fighter 2, alright, the original version, there are some things in that game that obviously Capcom realized, man, alright, if we want this to work and keep working, we need to actually tweak. So, for example, a lot of people don't know this, but in the original Street Fighter 2, 2 characters could not pick the same person. I mean, 2 people could not pick the same character. So you couldn't have both people playing as Ryu. It was called a mirror match. Wasn't allowed in original Street Fighter 2. And so what you would have in a lot of competitive settings at your local arcade, one guy would rush to the character that everyone wants to play as because he's the hottest character right now. People found out a new strategy with him or whatever. And everyone else would be stuck having to pick someone else trying to take down that person. Okay? And so Capcom realizing, oh man, if we want this game to become competitive, we have to change that. And so when they released the next version, which was called Champion Edition, they actually added in the mirror match capability. So for the first time, 2 Ryus, 2 Guiles, 2 Blancas could fight off with each other, okay? And it was just such a huge cultural phenomenon that it spawned so many different iterations of the game. So let me give you an idea. Within a 2 years period of time, I'm not exaggerating, it was about 2 to 2.5 years, you had Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, which added in new colors, mirror match capability, and you were able to play as the 4 bosses, which you could not play as in the original Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, which basically added in new combo capabilities, new special moves for certain characters, and also sped the game up significantly. For the first time, it took it out of this kind of a slower paced game and made it, man, you really had to have good hand-eye coordination and reactions to respond to what people were doing because the game moved really fast, okay? Super Street Fighter 2, which was basically slowed the game down a little bit more, but it actually added in a few new things, including 4 new characters, alright? And then finally, the final version of Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which put in the quintessential thing of all fighting games, super moves. So you had 5 versions of the same game come out within a 2.5-year span. You might say, why the hell did everyone put up with that? Why wasn't everyone up in arms? Oh my god, I can't keep playing a different version of this game. This is ridiculous. It was this simple. Because as I said earlier on the podcast, if you didn't watch that first segment, at the time, the way that the business model worked is that the arcade owner, whoever owned the video arcade, would purchase the game board of the game, install it in the cabinet. That was his startup cost, okay? Then, let's say 6 months later, Capcom would release Champion Edition, Part 2 of the game, all right? That arcade owner would not have to buy a whole new cabinet. He would only have to buy an upgrade chip that he would add to this game board, okay? And once he did that, this game board would be upgraded and would have all the new changes. Now, sure, there was an investment in capital. However, it was actually an invigorating thing, and here's why. You know, you play the same game for 6 months, you start to get a little bored. Let's be honest. Sure, when a game's hot and new, you're all over it. But after 6 months, things start to get stale. You're like, okay, well, maybe my interest will dwindle. Maybe instead of going to the arcade every Friday night, I'm going to go every other Friday night, okay? By putting these new versions of the game into the arcade, wow, now that desire to play the game is back because it's something new and different. Wow, there's 4 new characters. Wow, you can do mirror matches. Wow, they tweaked the gameplay so some of the cheesy stuff that was really hard to get around in the first version is out of the game now. I'm going to go back to the arcades again and play it. And that's what would happen. Every time a new version was released, the gamers were reinvigorated and flocked back to the arcades. So, to the gamer, the value was added that you could just every few months you could go back and play a new version of the game and you would love it. New characters, new abilities, new things were added with no additional cost to you. The cost still remained whatever, a quarter, 50 cents, whatever it was for one gameplay. It wasn't like the arcade owner would say, oh, well, I upgraded to the newest version, but now it's $4 a game. No, they knew no one would come to the arcade if they did that. But it was a way to get people back in the door because they got a new version of the game. So back then, that business model actually worked. It was, we can release 5 versions of the same game within a 2-year span and people won't complain because the arcade owners have a way to get more people back into the arcades because the actual gamers themselves are not having any problems because they're just getting new gameplay every 6 to 8 months and they're happy, they're appeased. So the problem was that business model doesn't translate into the modern world, okay? Because there's no more arcade owner, everything's on demand, everything's put on the consumer. And so when Capcom tried to nickel and dime their consumer in the past several years, releasing 4 to 5 versions of Street Fighter 4, releasing 100 downloadable characters for Street Fighter Cross Tekken that were actually already on the disc, the gamer said, now wait a minute. No, 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 no. We already gave you the initial investment. That's what everyone else plays for games now. We're not going to keep giving you our money for a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and a little addition here, a little addition there, and we're tired of it. And then the other thing was, back then, okay, so, all right, Street Fighter 2 was outdated, sure. So the original Street Fighter 2 was outdated because you're 4 versions ahead, but at least you're still playing the most current version, the one that everyone wants to play. Right now, you have to make a big investment of capital in order to get, so if I just bought Street Fighter 4, and then, oh, I want to get back into it, guess what? You've got to purchase 3 more versions up to where it is now, download it, patch it, and you've got to pay more money. And people are, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just walk in and play the new version. So that's why it's not translating into today, okay? So based off of their success, Capcom, being a company making Street Fighter, they started branching out. They started making side-scrolling beat-em-up games. Some of the most famous of the era, Final Fight, Aliens vs. Predator, The Punisher. And they did 1 or 2 more that weren't as popular, some of which were never even released in America, which is funny because you get characters like Jin, Jin is a character who they put into Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, and he was from a game called Cyberbots that almost got no release in America. So when the game came out, people were like, who the fuck is Jin? I've never heard of this guy before. So it was pretty funny in that regard. Okay. And those became immensely popular. And then, in the home, I mean, they were hitting it on all cylinders. The Mega Man series was one of the biggest, most iconic series on the Nintendo system. Okay? You had Mega Man 1 through, what was it, 7 or 8 that they put out for the NES? And then they jumped over to the Mega Man X series on the Super NES, where they tried to rebrand it because it was a new system with new capabilities. They wanted to make this the series bigger and better. And then, of course, that continued into the Mega Man X games on the PlayStation that turned into eventually Mega Man Legends for the PlayStation and Mega Man 64. That eventually turned into Mega Man Battle Network on the handheld systems. So Mega Man was an insanely large franchise that Mega Man, I mean, it was pretty much the quintessential platforming shooter. Because you had shooting games and you had platforming games. You had some games that had tried to make a hybrid of the two, but never really hit it off as successful as Mega Man did. And so that series of games was like Capcom, Mega Man, awesome. You know, you get that direct association. Now, a lot of people also don't know this, but Capcom did try to branch out during the 1990s, during this burgeoning success that they were having. They tried to delve into other things. So, for example, they said, well, look at Square, and Square makes Final Fantasy, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger. They're doing all these like fantasy-based RPGs that are really popular. Why can't we do that? So they acquired the talent to do it, and they went out and they made the Breath of Fire series, which went on to have a few sequels and also became a very popular series. So basically everything Capcom did was ding, 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 ding. Like, you could see that name. You could pick up a game box. And similarly to today, when most of the time when you pick up the game and it says Rockstar, okay, 99% of the time Rockstar makes a pretty good game. I know that what I'm getting when I buy this game is good. I'm going to invest my money in it. Back then it was exactly the same with Capcom. They had that name recognition, all right, that you knew whenever, well, even if they were delving into something different that they hadn't done before, you knew you could trust it to be good. I remember Capcom made a few of the Disney movie tie-in games at the time, and they also made a few of the Marvel Superheroes games. There was a couple of games of Marvel Superheroes. What was the other one called? War of the Gems. John and I actually played that one before. War of the Gems. They also had, I think it was The Rise of Apocalypse or something, some apocalypse game with the X-Men. They had a lot of these games that just, you know, they rang on all cylinders, and they became best-selling popular games at the time. I remember that. I'm trying to remember, there's like one or two others that were really huge, and they're not coming to mind right now, so I apologize for that. But they did have one or two others that were really, really successful at that time. And then, of course, the big one, the one that brought Capcom into the modern era of gaming, was Resident Evil. Now, this was a series that was unique in the fact that it took action-based gaming, but put it and combined with this survival horror. You have limited resources, limited ammo, you always feel like you don't know what's around the next corner. There were jump scares, but there was atmospheric horror to the plots of these games as well. And a lot of people, it just rang on all cylinders, especially with the fact that those games were the first games to be on a system like PlayStation where you could do wider games, 3D gameplay instead of 2D sprites and stuff like that. Resident Evil was humongous at the time. I remember Resident Evil 1, 2, and then 3. And 3, as we're a little bit, it started to lose interest, I think because it took a while between 3 and 4 for 4 to be released, and 4 was kind of almost a reboot of the series with the way the gameplay was. But those 3 games were like huge money makers for Capcom at the time. Now, keep in mind, at that time, Capcom did not stop making fighting games. Capcom decided, we found our cash cow. We can use the money we make off these fighting games and basically use that money to finance all these other efforts that we want to branch out into. So after the Street Fighter 2 series, they made Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3. All right, this was the prequel series, or a lot of your most famous Street Fighter characters actually came from the Alpha series, okay? Then they went on and said, well, at some point, you know, we have to get back to Street Fighter as a series, a numbered series. We have 1 and 2, we have to do a 3. And so they did Street Fighter 3, New Generation, which kind of came out to mixed reviews. The graphics absolutely were amazingly hand-detailed, 2D graphics with an outstanding amount of frames of animation, but the gameplay was a far cry from the gameplay of Street Fighter 3. The parry system really threw a lot of people off, and so there was like a dichotomy. There were people who were like, no, we like the more straight-up combat of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha, and other people were like, well, we're going to accept this new generation of combat with the parrying system. And really, at that era, it was Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Street Fighter 3, alright? That era, when Capcom fell into the trap, alright? The trap is called gimmicks. They turned their fighting game series into a series of gimmicks. So instead of Street Fighter Alpha 2, it became that game with the custom combo gimmick. Instead of Street Fighter Alpha 3, it was that game that has the gimmicks of 3 different styles of games. Alright? Street Fighter 3 became that game with the parries. And then, of course, subsequently they came out with newer games. You had Capcom vs. SNK, that game that's a crossover. Some of the games, like, for example, X-Men and Marvel Superheroes. Oh, that game that has super jumps? And then subsequently they came out with X-Men vs. Street Fighter and those games. Oh, the games with the tagging in and out, right? And so it just got worse and worse, where every game would literally become the game associated with a gimmick. And it's like, do you want a game to be known for its own merits, or do you want to know just because of one little gimmick in the game that becomes the domination of the gameplay of the game? And that's kind of what happened. Not to say that Capcom didn't make out doing it. I mean, those gimmicks became highly popular and people were playing the fuck out of all those games. They were all, you know, really huge games in arcades, but at the same time, you kind of realize when you're falling into a pattern and a trap, all right? And so what eventually happened to Capcom is after this big 10-year, you know, line of all these different fighters they kept putting out, and then porting them. Oh, Chris, we're going to port them for home systems. And at first they ported them for, like, SNES. And those were pretty damn good. It wasn't arcade perfect, but those were pretty amazing ports for what they were doing with the SNES technology. And then later on, doing arcade perfect ports for systems like the PlayStation and the Dreamcast and stuff like that. Finally, after a decade of doing it, I think it was 2002, Capcom pretty much took a fork and stuck a fork in it and said, we're done making fighting games. We've done it for over a decade now. We've put every possible fucking gimmick that we can come up with into it. We basically can't think of anything else. And the bottom line was, at that point, what was happening was that the arcades were starting to die out. Around 2002 was the real critical year, all right, where things were now coming out that were arcade perfect, but you could play them at home. So why would you go to the arcade and spend $10 to $15 a pop each night? You're going to play those games in the arcade. Well, you could just invite those people to your house and you guys could play the arcade perfect port of the game at home on your Dreamcast. And that's what started happening, unfortunately, okay? So Capcom didn't see this anymore, and they said, well, that's it. At this point, that we're basically going to stop doing fighting games. And what they did, they refocused their talents to work on things like Resident Evil, and I think they had a few other series. Was Onimusha Capcom? I know there was that PlayStation 1-2 era where Capcom kind of laid off of fighters and went into other things, okay? And that was perfectly fine, but they had to realize that that was one of the things that they were best at, and to pull that out of their lineup was probably the beginning of their downfall, alright? And then over the course of the 2000s, alright, you had all the games, you know, Resident Evil 4, it was a split audience. Some people loved it, some people hated it. They said it's too different from previous Resident Evils. Of course, now Resident Evil 5 and 6 that are a far departure from the original survival horror, now having co-op, now being more run and gun than anything else, and there's such a fan backlash with those games that I think what they said is Resident Evil 6, they spent so much money developing it that even though they sold a ton of copies, they still didn't do, it wasn't considered a hit via their standards. And that's unfortunate because I thought Resident Evil 6 was an amazing game. Was it survival horror? Absolutely not. It was like a big budget action movie with monsters in it, and I loved it, but other people just shat the fuck all over it because it was so different. So in the midst of all this stuff happening, Capcom kind of lost their way. Alright? They found a period of time where they stopped going to like their tried and true reliable things. They stopped doing things such as, oh, Mega Man. Mega Man is huge. We know that Mega Man is, you know, one of our prime characters. We know that he's one of the ones that people come back for traditionally. And, you know, we're going to keep making Mega Man games. And what happened is they stopped. They literally stopped making Mega Man games at one point. And when you stop making Mega Man games, I mean, that's a major problem. This is one of your mascot characters, one of your flagship characters, one of the characters who has given you a massive fan base of thousands and thousands and thousands of people over the years, and for you to just drop that line on its head because you felt that he wasn't like a massive moneymaker at the time and you could focus your efforts on other stuff, you can't do that. You have to keep those tried and true franchises alive. So just think about it. Within the course of a decade, Capcom dropped Street Fighter and Capcom dropped Mega Man. So what did you think was going to happen to that core fan base of people who had been there all along and were waiting for you to make new stuff with their favorite characters, and you just refused to do it, okay? Now, admittedly, Capcom did something good when they brought back Street Fighter with Street Fighter 4 in 2009. Unfortunately for them, they decided to then take a positive and spin it into an overwhelming negative. And I don't know how Capcom manages to do this, but they managed to do it, okay? So they took a line where, okay, Street Fighter 4, it's white hot, everyone's playing it. Everyone reviewed the game highly, they liked the robustness of the game. So then what did they do? They immediately patched the game, changing the gameplay and kind of screwing around with the lineup of characters. Okay, we'll accept one patch. Then they release an expansion for it within a year. So this rebalances the game again. Even more characters, but by the way, it's not free. You have to buy the expansion. Okay. Then they release another expansion. And you're like, what the fuck? What's going on? And again, the difference here between that old model where they had expansion of Street Fighter 2 within a 2-year period was that the customer was paying the same amount and one amount, and that was it, to continuously play the game. It was the arcade owner who was taking on the large investment cost. Now, it's now the gamer that's taking on that additional cost. And the gamers are not going to have that. They're like, no, I paid $60. Why do I now have to pay $20 to continue to play this game? Why in a year am I going to have to pay another $20 to continue to play this game? It doesn't make sense. Why are you holding it against me? What did I do wrong? And that's really how the gamers saw it. Like, you're nickel and diming me every year, forcing me to pay more and more money to play the same game and just stay up to speed. Because let's face it, no one was playing the older versions of those games once the new ones came out. Then Capcom made the ultimate disaster by releasing Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and then its expansion like 7 months later. So you completely changed the game within 7 months. So people spent $60, wasted 7 months of their time learning the game, just having to completely relearn it 7 months later, and they charged them again for it. And it's like, how does that work? And then, of course, just the infamous on-disc DLCs, which was the most boneheaded idea Capcom could have ever thought of. It's such an anti-user policy to include content that's obviously done at the time of retail release because it's already on your goddamn game disc. You pay $60 as an agreement to be able to use what's on the game disc, and then they charge you more money to unlock things that are already there. That is the most ridiculous policy that you can have as a game studio. Like, it is so anti-gamer, so anti-consumer, and it completely blew up in Capcom's face. So Capcom, they went from like AAA, take their word for it, high and mighty game development studio. Within the course of, say, 6-7 years, they've gone from up there to down fucking way the fuck down here to the point where, as I said in the news segment of this show, they only have about $180-something million in the bank. They don't even know if they have enough money to work on major development of games anymore. Street Fighter V coming in 2018. You know, what? Really? So how the high and mighty have fallen, and how simple management decisions about the direction of your company can completely fuck over thousands of people who are working hard at this company. And now on a daily basis, you hear stories from Capcom. We were overworked, we were over budget, they killed us to try to get this game out, it was absolutely ridiculous, we were mistreated. And you hear these stories and you feel so bad for the people, but this is the state of the gaming industry at this point. This is what it's becoming, and it's disgusting, honestly. But that's what happens when something that was a cultural entity then becomes big business. As soon as it becomes big business, that's it. We've got to make these weird management decisions. We've got to make these gambles, these stupid things, these change of direction. And it always backfires. It did for Capcom. And I don't know. Will they ever be restored to the prestigious kind of level and regard and respect that they had at one point? I don't know. Okay? Alright, everyone. So if you're watching this on Twitch, I apologize. I did notice that the stream was having some lagginess, and it actually restarted itself while I was doing it, so I apologize for that, obviously. We're going to take a short break right now. We're going to come back and we're going to do the live Q&A segment with the stream chat. So everyone who's watching this on Twitch, this is your last chance to submit questions into the raffle so that we can pull them during this next and final segment of Hate Live. So give it a couple minutes. We'll be right back with the Q&A segment. See you then. Alright, everyone on the stream, it's pretty obvious we're having major problems right now. What I'm going to do to attempt to fix this, I'm going to stop the stream completely, okay? I'm going to restart it. For those of you watching on YouTube, first of all, I hope you're not hearing this because you use my timestamps to skip ahead, okay? But this will not affect you at all. All you're going to see is a little bit of wait time here, and you'll hear me talking, but I'm going to be coming back to the next segment in a second. But for those of you watching on stream, I'm going to attempt to randomly restart the stream and see if we can get a better connection with this server, because obviously we have a crappy server, okay? So I'm going to stop the stream and start it back up, and then hopefully we can get it to hold for about another 20 minutes so I can finish the show, okay? Alright, everybody, I'll be right back. Stick around. I'm going to come right back, okay? Okay, it appears that we're back, and so far so good, no dropped frames, so we're going to come back and do the final segment, everyone. Okay? Here we go. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the third and final segment of Hate Live for this week. The live Q&A with the stream chat. We've only got about 15 minutes to go here that I have time to do the show, so let's go ahead and head right to the stream chat. If I could ask my mods to please put it to subscriber-only mode, we'll start pulling stuff, and we'll go from there, alright? Alright, here we go. The raffle is now closed. We'll be selecting questions. Whoa, this is a weird one. This question is from... Oh, it's from Jared. And he says, how much more money do you have to pay to GameStop this year, Phil? Do you mean how much more money will I be spending at GameStop? If that's what you mean, because I'm assuming that's what you meant. Well, just think about it. In the next few weeks, what releases are coming out? We've got Beyond Two Souls. We've got... Hold on, because I could look at my calendar right now. We've got Beyond Two Souls. We've got Batman Arkham Origins. We've got Sonic Lost World. We've got Assassin's Creed 4. WWE 2K14. We've got Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts. We've got both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launches, alright? Both of which, okay, are going to be extremely expensive because not only am I buying 2 new consoles, but then I have to get new controllers, then I have to get the games. And we're talking each one has like 3 major launch games at least, including Watch Dogs. And I think we also have, there's Need for Speed Rivals. So that's a lot. That's going to be like thousands of dollars. Just within the launch of the consoles, you're talking thousands of dollars. So I still got a significant amount of money to invest into gaming this year. All right, next question is from, oh my God, from Sugla Pickle de Rababama? What? Sugla Suglapticol de la Mama. What the fuck kind of name is that? You couldn't think of something more simple? Holy shit, dude. Jesus. Alright, so anyway, so this guy's question is, this might seem like a personal question for you, but just out of my curiosity, are you an atheist? I can answer that. Haha, how about this? I refuse, and I've said this before, I refuse to get into too much depth when it comes to politics and religion, alright? Because if I do, then there's some people out there that don't have an open mind. I have a very open mind. And, you can believe whatever you want. I'm not going to hold it against you. You know what I mean? I don't care what race, what creed, what religion, what sexual orientation. I'm okay with it as long as it's not something that's, like, physically threatening to someone else around you or is going to be some kind of a negative movement that hurts people, okay? So for me, I'm open-minded, but there are people out there who aren't. And for me to sit here and to blatantly express my full political and religious views, there's some people who say, well, that's it. He's not what I agree with. Fuck him. I'm never talking to him or watching his content or doing anything with him again. Okay? So that's why I've never turned my shows and my content into that. Alright? But what I will say is this. I am not an atheist. Atheists are people who staunchly 1,000,000% agree that there is no God. In fact, their whole movement is that there's no God. Alright? I don't know if there is or isn't a God. I'm not the person to be credible enough to try to even give you a ruling on that. Okay? So that being said, I'm not going to stand here and say, there is a God and this is my religion and my belief and this is what everyone should believe. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. What I will say is I respect people who believe there is a God. I respect people who don't believe there's a God. I am not going to say if I agree with one or the other and who's right or who's wrong, but I can tell you I am not an atheist, because atheism is actually a religion based off of saying we know there is no God, and that is not the case with me. I do not 100% believe that no matter what, there is no God. Okay? So there you go. Next question is from DSP Gaming Fan 11, and he says, who is your favorite character in Grand Theft Auto overall? So if he's saying overall, like across all time and space, every Grand Theft Auto game ever, fuck. I mean, I definitely liked the character of, what was it, Tommy Vercetti. I thought that was a really neat character. I think that he had a lot of personality to him. The fact that he was voiced by Ray Liotta to begin with was really neat. And, I think that he had a lot of pizzazz, and he kind of laid the groundwork that the future protagonists of Grand Theft Auto games were going to be these robust characters, alright? I really like Nico Bellic, because Nico Bellic was a guy who came from a sordid past, the past that he was trying to escape, and it shows that a lot of the times people who are involved in crime and in killing just can't find a way out of it. He's trying, no matter, he goes to a whole new country, tries to start a new life, and then ends up falling right back into his old ways. And I really had a lot of sympathy for that character. So in that regard, I think if you're talking about sympathetic, he was probably the character I had the most sympathy for. If you want to ask me in Grand Theft Auto 5 who my favorite character is, I don't know yet. I actually do like the dynamic of Michael, because Michael has a family. And that family has become a major dynamic of the game that hasn't been present in previous Grand Theft Auto games, because you never had a guy who already had a wife and kids, and it was more like, the single guy starting off for himself. This is the first time you've had a protagonist who kind of has this already formed family structure, okay? But at the same time, I mean, the sheer originality of a character like Trevor, even though I'd hate him, I think that he's evil, he's an evil person, but you can't look away. It's like you have to see the evil shit this guy does, because he has no conscience, he has no check that says that's the line and I can't cross the line. And to see how crazy a person like that can be. Franklin, I think he's still developing as a character. Today, finally, we did some more missions with him. I think the game has been more focused on those two rather than Franklin. Now that it may have more to do with Franklin, maybe I'll have a better opinion of him. So I don't know yet. I want to beat the game before I make a judgment, okay? All right, next question is from, let's make sure this is the right one, I think Lord Drez. Yes, and Lord Drez asks, which Mario Kart game did you like the best and why? Which Mario Kart game did I like the best and why? That's a tough one, because I loved Mario Kart 1 to death. Mario Kart 1, I played the fuck out of it on SNES. Mario Kart 64, which is technically Mario Kart 2, I liked, but I didn't like it as much as Mario Kart 1. I don't know why. I can't put a finger on it. There was something about it that I don't know, maybe it was because the graphics were drawn to be 3D, but they weren't. Like, it was a 2D sprite of a 3D rendering, and I was like, if you can't do 3D, don't do 3D. Just do high-res 2D sprites would have been better, and I think that annoyed me a little bit. But the game was great. The music was great. The stages were great. I don't know why I don't think I liked it as much as the original. I haven't played every Mario Kart game, okay? I didn't play a few of the ones that were on, like, mobile. I did play Double Dash, but only for a little bit, and I liked it, but it was really weird having the two-player mechanic of switching between. I did like the one that was on the Nintendo DS. I forget what it was called, but I think it was just Mario Kart DS. It was good, but that was the one where snaking was invented and basically broke the entire game, and Nintendo never fixed it, so the game was horrendously broken competitive-wise forever. Obviously, Mario Kart Wii was good, but it was kind of like you play it for a little bit, you're like, alright, I played it, I've been there, I've done that, I've played this already before. And kind of similarly with the Mario Kart, what was the Mario Kart on, was there a Mario Kart on 3DS? There was, right? I think there was. I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure there was, and I wasn't blown away by that one either. I was like, you know, it's okay, it's not great. It's Mario Kart yet again. And of course now you got the new one coming out for Wii, and the big news, you can drive upside down. Fuck if I care. I think that the Mario Kart formula is kind of getting played out by this point. They really don't have anything new to throw into the formula, and so they just, again, gimmicks. Kind of similar to what Capcom did with fighting games. Now it's like, oh, it's a new Mario Kart, let's find a gimmick for the system that it's on to adapt to it, and I don't understand that. The next question is from D3R Pin Durpin, maybe? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he says, hey Phil, do you have any advice for someone dealing with a lack of confidence? I hate on the internet can really break you down, but you seem to be keeping it together. Thanks for answering. Well, first of all, when you say lack of confidence, it depends on what you're talking about, because there are things in life to be confident about, and if it doesn't work out, who gives a fuck, all right? So one of the things in life that always got me was men who were terrified of women. You're attracted to a girl, you like her personality. Why not give it a shot? Why not at one point ask her out? Who the fuck cares if she said no? Because if she said no, you weren't going to get that date anyway. So what did you lose? Nothing whatsoever. Now, you might say, oh, but I'll be embarrassed. Why? Why would anyone ever be embarrassed for taking a chance in life? Having courage is something to be applauded. It's ballsy. It's brave. That's not something that, oh, just because you fail, at least you had the fucking courage and the braveness inside of you to step up and try to do something. So this shouldn't be something that should be ridiculed. And if someone ridicules you for trying something and failing at it because you had confidence and you wanted to try it, that person's a fucking asshole, and you shouldn't listen to what that person has to say, okay? Now, in particular, he's addressing something called, the hate that could come around you if you do stuff on the internet, all right? Again, here's what all I have to say about that. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Because if you're enjoying what you're doing, that's all that matters. So if you want to do, whether it's gaming, whether it's vlogs, whether it's a new hobby, you're starting something on the internet, and it doesn't take off, you know what? If you're having fun doing it, it doesn't matter. Just do it. What do you have to lose, all right? Now, of course, what I'm saying here is, don't invest all of your time and effort and money into it, because that's overconfidence. I'm going to invest 100% of my time into this, and if it doesn't work, I'm fucked for life because I spent all my money and time. I don't have a job anymore, okay? If you remember what I did with YouTube, I did YouTube as a hobby on the side while I still had my old full-time job, and I always wanted to keep it that way. So that way I have this fun hobby on the side, and I have this way to support me outside. So if this ever doesn't work, I still have this. Now, that doesn't happen anymore. Unfortunately, they had to merge together because I got laid off from my old job, and that company is literally falling apart at the seams right now. So that being said, you need to be confident, but you need to be smart and intelligently confident. Don't be overconfident, because overconfidence could lead to failure just because you seem like a prick. You're now becoming cocky. You think that if you think you're the best at everything, you probably never will be the best at everything. because there's always going to be someone above you, and once you realize that, you're going to be deflated. Oh, I thought I was the best and I'm not. Oh, someone's doing better than me. Oh, and that's the other thing. Don't hold yourself down. If you're going to be confident about something, don't deflate yourself because someone else did better than you, and maybe you didn't even put enough effort. How many people, let's be honest, are popular on YouTube for the dumbest things? All right, the dumbest things. And I'm not calling anyone out because there's a lot of people who do it for various different things, not just gamers. There's people on YouTube that just do dumb shit and their videos go viral. All of a sudden, next thing you know, they're on the main page of YouTube, 5 billion subscribers, they're millionaires, all right, for the dumbest shit. Now, if you're going to let that deflate you and say, man, people are internet famous for the dumbest stuff and I can't make it, this is ridiculous, fuck it, like, that's the wrong attitude to have. The attitude is you do what you want to do, you have fun doing it, you have the confidence to do it. Who cares what anyone else thinks as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and you're okay with what you're doing, okay? That's pretty much what I have to say on that one. Okay. Next question is from KH Knight. He asks, do I pee with the seat up or the seat down? The answer is both. If I just have to piss, I piss with the seat up. If I'm on the toilet shitting and I also have to piss, I piss with the seat down. Because it would be pretty hard to take a shit and piss if the seat was up. Because I'd be in the toilet. I do not piss with the seat down, standing up. Wow. That was an interesting, robust question. All right. All right, I'll probably take 2 more questions. One of them is already here. Let me read it. This is from Jack's Rage, and he says, Phil, I'm a longtime fan since 2009. When you started out, you didn't give a fuck about what people thought, like friend requests, ridicule. And your harsh, hilarious comedy refer to this as old Phil. Those who knew that Phil... Oh my god, now it's scrolling so I can't see it. Those who knew that Phil got you to your high point in your YouTube career. Since you've made this full-time, it's been watered down. Do you think that you'll ever get to that true king of hate, mean, grittin', don't give a, I guess it's don't give a fuck? Alright, let me put it this way. I understand what he's saying, alright? I understand. By the way, if you're watching this on Twitch and the stream just crashed and you missed the question, it's that giant question in the stream chat. You can read it for yourself. I understand what this guy's saying. Okay? This guy's basically saying, when you started on YouTube, you were a dick. You were an asshole. You insulted people left and right. You made fun of the people who were your fans. You basically did all this nasty stuff. And people loved it. And you became very popular at that time. And then you kind of changed over the years. You know, after I'd say circa 2010 probably was when I decided to make an active change in a lot of the stuff that I was doing. All right? And this guy says, well, that was your most popular point, and now you're more watered down. First of all, that's not the case. That wasn't the most popular point. The most popular point of my career on YouTube was right when I was getting started, when I got laid off from my full-time job, when I was considered the underdog of YouTube gaming, because here was a guy who was the common guy who had lost his job completely unexpectedly. People were rooting for me to be able to make it on YouTube, and there was this big wave of positivity behind me, basically saying, we want Phil to succeed. Okay? I thought I heard something behind me. And then it exploded, basically. It exploded during this period of time. Phil's the underdog. He lost his job. We got to help Phil. Let's watch his content. Let's do this. Let's do that. My highest views by far were in the year of 2011. Now, if you go back to 2011, you'll see I had already stopped doing friend request ridicule. I had stopped doing a lot of that more hyper negative stuff, including the Street Fighter videos where I was hating on people all the time. That was actually when I was just focusing solely on doing playthroughs, entertaining playthroughs. That's really when my viewership spiked. Okay? So, what your statement is not true. You may be your personal opinion that when I was a negative dick in the past, early on YouTube, that's what got me popular, but really that's not true. My biggest popularity was when, oh, here's a guy who's been doing videos for free, he lost his job, let's get in there and be positive and help him out. People gave me the benefit of the doubt. It didn't matter if I was playing a piece of shit game or a great game, people watched every single fucking thing that I did, okay? So, that being said, he's basically saying it's watered down. Well, listen. The thing is this. Over time, people grow up, people mature. When I started on YouTube in 2008, I was a drastically different person than I am here in 2013. Over the past 6 years, I've realized what a powerful tool the internet is, I've realized that the people on the internet who are fans may not necessarily be, I'm not, why am I going to take someone who maybe could be a kid? It could be a kid sending me a friend request and make fun of him, publicly ridiculing him. Is it his fault? Maybe he never watched every video I ever made. Maybe he didn't read the description on my channel page that says, please don't send me random friend requests. So it was funny the first time, but after you do it a few times, you start to realize this is getting played out, and you have to look at yourself and say, are you doing the right thing? And I really determined after doing several videos like that, I said, I'm not doing the right thing. I'm being a dick to a lot of different people, and it's not right, and I'm gonna make it a thing to actively change. And really what I did is, when I got laid off from my job, I tried to take all the negativity about what I was doing, put it up into a ball, and toss it out to fucking sea, and say, I'm gonna ride this wave of popularity and positivity. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to just ride the wave out. Unfortunately, what happens then is that people think that over time you get played out. And that's kind of what happened with me. I was using the same camera, I was doing the same kind of playthroughs all the time, the same kind of reviews, basically the same of everything. People were like, well, if I watch a DSP playthrough, I know what I'm going to have. He's going to make a few really entertaining jokes. That's great. You're going to see to get the gameplay of the game. You're going to get to see that. That's great. He's going to rage. He's going to fuck up on some parts that probably you'd be able to easily pass by yourself. He's going to rage, and you're going to either laugh because you think that's funny, or you're going to get angry because how could dare he insult the game and the game developers because they're infallible. Just because he's bad at the game, he shouldn't insult anyone. Even though people now know that I do that for entertainment purposes. Okay? So eventually what happened is, I think, a large group of people just got bored of my content. They said it's the same thing over and over. And what they do is they jump from fad to fad. At one point, I was one of the fads on YouTube. Wow, Phil's the biggest thing. He's the independent, the underdog. Let's support him. Then all of a sudden you had the next wave came out. People, oh, we got to jump on that one. Oh, we got to jump on that. So people just jump from bandwagon to bandwagon to bandwagon. In addition, people grow up. A lot of people grew up, and when they were, kids or teenagers, they watched my content. Now maybe they can afford to buy the games they never used to be able to buy, and that's why they watched my content, so now they play them themselves. I could fully relate because I myself used to be a tremendously huge fan of the angry video game nerd and the nostalgia critic. And then at one point, I just stopped finding them funny. It was like, it's the same thing. It's the same shtick. It's the same jokes. It's the same everything. You know what they're going to do. And every once in a while, sure, they would reinvigorate it. And of course, every time the Angry Video Game Nerd puts out a video, it's about a different game. That doesn't mean it's different content, and it just gets played out, and it's not as good as it once was, okay? So I can understand that mentality, at least from my point of view. For you guys this year, I've tried to reinvigorate things. I went to direct capture. I now do live streaming. I've got interactivity with podcasts. I've got all this new content that I'm trying to put out for you guys, and at least in that way, keep it fresh, all right? So I hope that despite all the bullshit negativity and stuff that's been going on around me, all the people trying to bring me down for their own personal benefit with a lot of misinformation and nonsense just so that they can get views, I hope you understand that I am happy with what I'm doing. I think I'm a better person now than I was 5-6 years ago when I got started. If that means I have less viewership, then so be it. I would rather be a better person and have okay viewership than be a fucking asshole and have a giant sky-high viewership because I'm an asshole. Again, the gimmick is that I'm an asshole and I rip everyone a new asshole. I make fun of everyone. Is it funny? Yes, but is it right? And right now, looking back, I have to say, no, it's not right, and that's why I'm not going to continue on in that negative vein anymore. All right, well, I've gone too long. I'm going to do one last question because I've gone too fucking long, but I see that one more got pulled, okay? The last question is from L Games 8. And he says, if Grand Theft Auto Online Fan Interaction Special is a resounding success, would you consider including us PlayStation users as well? I know PlayStation 3 matchmaking is complete ass. I agree with you on that. It would be a real shame for PS3 users to miss out on such an event. Can you throw us a bone? I already answered this question last podcast, so I don't know why people ask it again. The answer is this. If it's a success, if people are loving it, obviously I would want to get my PlayStation fans and viewers, PlayStation playing fans and viewers involved. Unfortunately, I can almost guarantee you that matchmaking will be a complete and utter fucking nightmare on the PlayStation 3. I'm going to actually rely on the people who bought Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 3 to let me know how difficult is it to matchmake if you're trying to meet up with people who aren't on your friends list. Is it mandatory that people have to be on your friends list to get them into your party? This is the kind of stuff that I'd like to know when it finally comes out. If you're playing it on PlayStation 3, if you could let me know the answer to that, then obviously I can more more fairly answer this question. But, that being said, would I love to play? Of course I want to play with both fan bases. It makes sense. It's a dichotomy of why would I play with one and not the other. That's not fair. But at the same time, you have to realize, is it logistically feasible to do so? And that's what I cannot promise you anything unless it's a success and it's logistically feasible to do so. Then it's something I would consider. Even if, let's say I buy it for PS3, I do GTA Online for a few weeks, and then the project's over, I could give the game away to a fan. That could be something for the giveaways. But I'm not going to sit here and promise you definitively, yes, I'm doing it no matter what, because that would be a dick move, because then what happens if we find out it's extremely hard to matchmake? What if it's not what we're expecting? What if we go to play it and it's not as good? Or what if we all go to play it and the servers crash nonstop for the first 2 weeks, and we're like, well, fuck this, we're not doing it. Obviously, then, I don't want to promise that to you guys if we even know if it works. So, it's a consideration. I might do it, but I'm not promising it right now, and that's it. Oh, I guess I'll do this as the last question. This will be the end of the podcast. By something he says, why does media whine about the games and blame video games for everything? And the answer is because since the media can't find an actual root cause, or they don't like the root cause, like instead of saying, gee, the reason why we have so many mentally ill people who are growing up and murdering people is because the parents were irresponsible fucking pieces of shit and probably didn't care for those kids the way that they should have and gave them a proper raising and basically made sure that they were staying away from negative things that would make them want to kill people. You know what I mean? I grew up my whole life playing video games, violent video games like Mortal Kombat, like shooting games. Do you see me going out and shooting anyone? I don't own a gun. I've never been in a physical altercation like that. Since I was much, much, much younger, which is probably before I played all those violent games. You know what I mean? Like, it's the parents' fault. Here's the bottom line on everything wrong that's going on in America with the shootings and everything. It's the parents' fucking fault. So, if there's a kid that grows up to be a crazy, one of these radical terrorists who's like heavily into some religion where it's about killing the infidels, and the kid goes and blows up a bunch of people, guess whose fault it is? The parents, because they fucking didn't raise him properly, so he wouldn't have all these insane ideas in his fucking head. The kid's obviously mentally ill for a reason. The parents. Let's put it down and say, the parents are always to fucking blame. Now, a lot of the times the parents aren't there, and that's why these people turn into these crazy monsters. Other times the parents are just horrible parents. Now, there's no book on how to properly parent, but when you just throw your arms up and say, oh, well, we can't stop him or save him or change him, that's where it's like, you know what? If you're going to do that, then don't have a fucking kid, ever. If you're going to have that attitude, then don't have a kid. Because that's why we have this crazy shit going on, and there's no way to predict it, and there's no way to stop it, because it's insanity caused by bad parenting. Okay. And of course, the media doesn't want to say that, because then they have to blame, oh my god, blame the common person, the common viewer who watches our program. Who will ever watch us again? Alright. So that's it for this episode of Hate Live. It's been a very long one. In fact, it's the longest one ever right now, over 2 hours. Thank you for watching. I know we covered quite a lot of topics. Just to review, once again, this weekend on the Weekend Preview, I'm giving away the Collector's Edition of Grand Theft Auto 5, Collector's Edition for Xbox 360, to a lucky subscriber on Twitch TV. So you still have, if you didn't renew your subscription or whatever, if it expired, if you want to get it in, you have until this Sunday. This Sunday is when I'll be picking a winner, okay? In addition to that, keep in mind this is the last Hate Live for several weeks. None next week because I got time off. None the week after because there's going to be Ask the King. I'll be coming back in 3 weeks with a new Hate Live. I'm sure we'll have a ton to talk about by then, including Beyond Two Souls and all kinds of stuff that'll be going on at that point. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I apologize if you're watching this on stream and you had a lot of problems connecting because the stream kept crashing. I did the Hate Live last week. Didn't have one crash at all. This week I have crashes. I don't know what to say. It looks like it's going to be completely random from now on. Thank you for joining me. As always, peace out. Hope to see you for a lot more Grand Theft Auto 5 gameplay over the course of the next week. Thanks a lot. See you later. Have a good night.